Hi there and welcome to tuxacher.com. Welcome on my video channel. And in today's little video we want to talk about Luminar 3 with the lip function. After Skillum released the final version on December 18th, they got a lot of criticism, mainly because the version right now is pretty buggy. It loses parts of the folders already read in and other things. But just to see where Skillum is at right now, we maybe look at the image management functions so far in Lightroom on the one hand side, in ON1 PhotoRAW 2019, and of course in Luminar 3. So let's start a little comparison. Okay, starting here with Lightroom. You see here the images, or a couple of images from my last vacation imported. And here you can see all the EXIF data from the selected image. Just take this for an example. Here you can see capture date and time, the dimension, crop dimension, exposure time, focal length and so on, camera, and also the lens used for this capture. But in Lightroom, you probably know it, you have to import the images first, either directly from your camera or just copy them into a folder on your hard drive or SSD and import them from this location. But you have to import before you can do anything in Lightroom. In addition to the EXIF metadata, you have either a keywording where you can assign keywords right away to this image, or a keyword list where you can do the same thing, just like that one, for example. Add the keyword landscape and land and water, and with this keywords you can filter afterwards if you are searching certain images. You also have collections. I prepared here two, like this one. That's a regular collection that is comparable to an album in other applications, where I manually added all images I selected to this album. But what you can also do is define so-called smart collections, where the contents of the smart collection is automatically filled about certain parameters in the database. There can be either cameras, capture time, or ISO settings, or keywords if you like. Take this for example, edit this, and it's really actually pretty simple. It takes all images captured in the last 1 month. But you could also do a smart collection with for all images having the keyword landscape, and additionally having a color label of blue or anything you like. We go back to all pictures. In addition, you can here search for any text, that is any searchable text that can be either keywords or titles or description of the image. And here you can choose attributes that can be like here in this is an example, all images with a green color label. I don't know I have any yellow in this. Okay. Or you can filter according to the rating of certain images. And of course you can search for picked, unpicked and non-flagged images too. Okay, making this small. If we open up ON1 PhotoRAW, we go to the catalog folders and go show subfolders, and here you have almost the same thing. Here you can see all the metadata, ISO, focal length, camera lens used and so on. And you can add keywords to the image. The only difference to Lightroom is that ON1 PhotoRAW doesn't support a hierarchical keyword list so far. And just like Lightroom, in addition, you can define albums, like here one. I added all pictures from my last vacation, and in addition, On1 Photo Raw also supports smart collections. This one did the same thing, but I selected only images captured with the Lumix camera, for example. As you might notice here, the CPU usage is pretty high, and here you can see a diagram which informs you about how much previews are already done for this catalog. Oh, by the way, I did this one here. You might notice with this little symbol LR, they are migrated from Lightroom catalog with the Lightroom migration tool implemented in ON1 Photo Raw. But it's a little bit funny, not all the images carried this sign, even though they were all migrated from the Lightroom catalog with the most recent images. And you can filter here just like you seen in Lightroom for images with color ratings or star ratings, and also picked unpicked images. You can select about time, and you have an advanced search where you can add criteria for searchable text or camera and so on. That's a little bit different in usage, but it's pretty much the same function like in Lightroom. And now we go to Luminar. Here I have the problem that I did the same like with On1 Photo Raw. I cataloged the drive G, with this is an SSD drive for my most recent pictures, and it's divided into subfolders according to the year of capture time. So as you can see here, this should contain all images from October 2016 to December 2018, but here on the side the folders for 2016 and 2017 are missing. Okay, let's just select another image, and if you click here on info, you get a little bit of information, not all the information probably included in the image. You only get the date and time, capture time, the dimensions and the size of the image, and here you can see what camera was used, ISO setting, aperture and exposure, and the focal length, but nothing about the used lens, for example, even though in editing, avoiding chromatic aberration or other thing, or vignetting, which is sort of accompanied by the lens, works pretty good. The other hassle I have with Luminar Dry, if I double click an image, right away I'm in the edit mode. Don't really like that, but so far I guess we have to accept it. If I go to show all the images, you can define yourself albums, but they are manual, so you have to mark and select all the images you want to include in a certain album. That's possible, but since there is no keyword adding in Luminar 3, you can define what is called in Lightroom so-called smart collection. According to the roadmap from Asylum, this should be possible by mid next year. We have to wait and see and be surprised if they get it till there. Okay, let's go back to Lightroom just for another, to me, important feature. If we take that for an image, for example, here you can see GPS data. In this case, since the 5D Mark II doesn't have built-in GPS module, they were added manually using GPS logger. And now what you can do is open up a map module where you can see all the images which are taken at this location, and if you zoom in or out, you can see all the other images which were taken right nearby. What you also can do is use a track file either generated by your smartphone or by a GPS logger, and use this one to add GPS data to your images, just in case you have a camera without a GPS module. If we go back to ON1 Photo RAW, just have to wait and see. Take this one for example. Here you can see the GPS data of the location where the image was taken, but so far ON1 Photo RAW doesn't have a map module, and there is no support for adding GPS data afterwards, at least so far. And in Luminar 3 you have the situation that on info you don't even have any information about GPS data available. So I don't know if they add this function, probably in a later version, if you must catalog again, or if this is already part of the catalog. But to be fair, there are two features which are pretty neat, and that is, you see here the catalog folders. That are the folders which are stored in a catalog, or at least the metadata from these files and any changes in image processing. And here you have the local drives, and that is what you can do in Lightroom. Just go to a certain drive, and without this image needs to be in the catalog, you can get info about it, and of course you can edit it. Okay, I have to mark it, and then I can switch to edit mode. Okay, now it has read in the EXIF data and so on, and now I can go to edit and edit this image without having imported it prior to the processing. That can be done with Luminar 2. You just can add or pick an image which is not part of the catalog by the quick edit feature, and now you can open an image for a quick edit anywhere stored on your drives. The second thing or feature I want to show to you, we go back to browse here and go here to the catalog folders again. Okay, it's already in. Now I go to the folder on the local file system, pick this one and delete it, and as you can see, ON1 Photo RAW synchronizes this one automatically with the images on the local drive. That can be done also on Luminar. We go to this folder again. You have those 5 pictures there, and I go to the folder on the local drive and just copy this picture into this folder, and there you can see that Luminar already has the new image. On Lightroom you don't have a function like this to automatically import new pictures added to a folder, or even a complete new folder. If the folder is already there and you just add a new image, like if you did a panorama or HDR image and you stored the resulting TIFF file into this folder, you have to go to the folders here, pick out the right folder, do a right click and do a synchronize folder, so that you can re-import or import the new image. Okay, if we go a little bit into the edit mode, editing in Lightroom is pretty straightforward with the classical rulers for highlight, contrast, exposure and so on, and lens correction and details. And since version 8.1 you can configure these panels here, so it's a more classical way. You also have the presets. Either you have the presets shipped with Lightroom in this case, or you use presets you downloaded or maybe you buy on the internet. On1 Photo Raw, if I just pick one here, maybe take this one, and almost has the same kind of functions where you can alter all kinds of parameters like midtones, shadows, exposure, contrast, saturation and so on. But On1 Photo Raw has a lot of effects on board where you can add a certain effect to an image, and in addition they have a lot of presets where you can alter the image with just one click. That is almost the same in Luminar. Just take this one for example and blend in the presets, or nowadays they're called looks in Luminar. Work almost the same, and here you can add a lot of filters for processing the image, so you might as well say that Luminar is a little bit more filter driven, but also you can here add workspaces where you have still have the classical rulers like you probably are already used to if you come from Lightroom or any similar application. And you can define your own sets, so you almost can define a set more or less equal to the one that you're used to in Lightroom. Just here take down the exposure, open up the shadows and so on. Should be no problem. The only thing I don't really like here, if I go back to browse modus, this changed image is automatically saved. Okay, the other difference that is discussed a lot of times is that On1 Photo Raw and Luminar 3 both have layers, and Lightroom doesn't support layers. On the one hand side, the image processing tools in Lightroom are, at least to me, quite sophisticated, so I don't need layer functionality that often anymore. But on the other hand, if you have the most recent version of Lightroom Classic CC, you also have Photoshop CC, and with this one you are also capable of doing layer editing. Okay, that was the little comparison, and I think the result is pretty clear. Lightroom still is the main tool to me for image managing and library functions. Close by there is On1 Photo Raw 2019, even though there are a couple of functions missing, like map tool or things like that. And on a pretty lost third place there is Luminar 3. Skillum already announced a bug fix release for beginning of January, and another release 3.1.0 for end of January, beginning of February. So we might have to wait and see if they corrected all the bugs so far are in the software. Maybe Skillum should have done a better job thoroughly testing the software before releasing it, or even talk to the customers and interested people and talk about that image managing is quite a deal, at least if you plan to be a competitor to Lightroom. On the other hand, we now have the situation that we have two competitors. On1 Photo Raw is pretty interesting so far, even in the image managing functions. And if Luminar fulfills the roadmap published on their website to add or implement the missing functions by July next year, it might be an interesting software for people who don't like Lightroom's software rental model. Okay, that was my little comparison, and I would surely appreciate if you place a like on this video, or even more if you subscribe the channel. If you have any questions, just place them in the comments or take a look in my blog. There you can place your comments and questions too. Until the next time, ciao, tux auch.